Hello, everyone, and happy pre-holidays. Welcome to the last week of the Damage Report here in 2020. Good riddance, worst year ever. And welcome 2021, which I'm sure will be great. Anyway, I thought let's close out the year starting with a fantastic day. And so we are very lucky to be joined by one of the best people around, Francesca Fiorentini.
Hey, here we still are.
Right before we went live, Francesca and I were talking about the fact that after the show today, we're gonna be recording our first top 10 list, which is gonna be available to our YouTube tier 2 and tier 3 members. And we're gonna be doing our top 10 garbage people of the year. And Francesca asked a great question, which is, are you gonna get all of your guests to give their top 5? Which is a great point. I might try to get it going on Twitter, having people list their 5 garbage people of the year. But the honor just goes to Francesca this year. And so I'm very excited to see.
Because I was gonna calibrate. I was very much gonna calibrate. I was like, what can I bring? What about all the comics that have been canceled? Like, let's go that route, you know?
Oh.
But now I can
It's
just
up to
be
you.
broad. Okay.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. I'm very curious to see how our lists are different. So anyway, for our tier 2 and tier 3 members, that video will be going up on the YouTube channel later on today. But before that, we have got a full hour plus of news. There is so much to talk about. Thank you to everybody who is already joining us. Feel free to like the stream and share the stream so that people know that we're live. And as we go along, if you'd like to send us messages or tweets or super chats or anything like that, we'll respond as best we can between our stories. But that said, Francesca, why don't we launch this first one, which is a doozy. We've sort of just been waiting for Donald Trump to announce martial law, and it turns out that we're getting closer every day, with some of his aides having to stop him from pulling the trigger, literally, on that. Now, we've got this meeting that happened over the weekend that apparently involved all of the worst people in the country yelling at each other, which is fun. And apparently, senior Trump administration officials are coming out of that meeting increasingly alarmed that President Trump might unleash and abuse the power of government in an effort to overturn the clear result of the election. Now, there are multiple forms that could come in, but they basically all drive from the fact that these officials apparently told Jonathan Swan that Trump is spending too much time with people they consider crackpots or conspiracy theorists and flirting with blatant abuses of power. And before we get into the specifics of what Trump is considering doing, can I just say that if you're a senior Trump administration official and you're only now worried about the fact that he's spending time with crackpots and conspiracy theorists and flirting with blatant abuses of power, did you just come out of like a coma like a week ago? That is pretty much not only his whole thing, but also very much why he's as popular as he is. Like, the right loves that stuff. Now you're worried about it?
This is like, Maggie Haberman, please give my book a good review when it eventually comes out. Because as a former Trump top official, I will definitely have one. And I'll claim that no, I didn't know that this entire candidacy and fandom was based on crackpot theories. Mostly about immigrants and people of color and Democrats and women and the disabled. Cool. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. But hey, good for you. It's just smallest little medal, just of award for calling this a crackpot idea to remain in office. You gonna give us more context, John, or shall I go off now?
Yeah, let's get an idea of what he's actually considering doing, what he's pushing for. So let's see. Their fears include Trump's interest in former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's wild talk of martial law, which we're gonna get a little bit more in depth later on with the video. An idea floated of an executive order to commandeer voting machines, and the specter of Sidney Powell, the conspiracy spewing election lawyer, obtaining governmental power and a top level security clearance. So before we get into it, let's acknowledge that Trump says that this isn't true, tweeting martial law equals fake news, just more knowingly bad reporting. Okay, I get that you think it's fake news, but multiple sources who are in the room at the meeting say that you guys are talking about it. And we're literally gonna play a video of Michael Flynn calling for it later on. So once again, fake news just means I would prefer you to not be talking about this right now. I still want to do it. Like, we'll circle back to the idea, but not right now, please.
Everyone can hear you when you say it out loud, so please don't say it out loud or in print. I hear that is also a form of communication, the written word. I don't deal with it myself, but I've been told people glean things from the written word. So shh. Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, Sidney Powell getting a top security clearance. Let this happen, people, because we are gonna get the alien files tomorrow, and she'll be like, "I am one. I have come to Earth to unveil my true form." And she takes off her mask, except it's just her, Sidney Powell, and you're like, that checks out.
Yeah, I definitely have more to say about Sidney Powell. We'll have a little bit more specifically on what she might do, but let's start with the martial law. Because I guess one of the most long shot of all the different long shots that have been discussed over the past 6 weeks or so is that he's just going to take over, dispatch the military and all of that. It really does seem like a long shot. The military said as of like last Friday, no, we're not getting involved, which they've said before. And it does seem very unlikely, but the idea that someone would propose martial law and that he would keep that person in the room, that seems pretty threatening by itself. I think that, calling for the end to our republic, that should get you shuffled out of the room. I think you've got a lot of aides. You don't necessarily keep the ones that are advocating for martial law, but he doesn't see it as a deal breaker.
Yeah, and it's funny, the one who's advocating martial law is a foreign agent, was convicted of being a foreign agent, has been in the same room discussing plans with this president as a foreign agent. So yeah. That's not good, doesn't bode well. But yeah, hey, have him back, pardon him, and he's back in the room, baby.
Exactly, and we didn't play this video on Friday, but let's go to the video of Michael Flynn. We're gonna jump ahead one video. We'll return to the bar, but for Michael Flynn, here he is on Newsmax, very explicitly calling for martial law.
Also he could order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times, Greg. So I'm not calling for that. We have a constitutional process. We clearly have a constitutional process. I think you highlighted some of that in your previous segment. That has to be followed.
We have a constitutional process for elections, and we did it, and you guys lost, and you just don't like that. It's only as complex as that. You guys don't like it, and so now you're talking about the fact that, let's just dispense with the whole thing. We thought that we had voter suppressed and gerrymandered and all of that so much that we could still win even though nobody likes us. But now it turns out that our unpopularity is rising faster than the suppression of the American voters. So let's just be done with the whole thing. Let's just seize the machines. Let's redo the elections with the military stationed throughout swing states. That's what they're calling for. And that guy, after that video, was brought into the Oval Office to talk to Trump about what his options are.
But that's not unprecedented, John. I mean, how many presidents have seized the voting machines in swing states and rerun elections?
64.
It's like so hack at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's
now
insane. Like, I'm sorry, like to even just say that. Like, even what's his dude? Chuck's name? I don't know. Newsmax? Is it Mr. Max?
I think it was Greg something.
Okay,
I'm calling it. It doesn't matter, but I'm sure he has a million Twitter followers.
Even his little dumb face was just like, ugh, like what? Really? Is that what you can do? It's incredibly scary. And I had another thought, but I want to forget that this even happened.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm not gonna let you. But that would be nice. Now, in terms of the seizing machines, which is a thing that has been popping up a lot. So you had Michael Flynn there saying that the machines should be seized. Sidney Powell's interested. Rudy Giuliani's talking about it. Again, I have no idea what the purpose of that would be. I assume the news being that they'd been seized would be enough to, I was gonna go really dirty there. But it would satisfy right wingers for the time being, knowing that something was being done. I'll say that.
Go dirty.
Apparently, it's unlikely to happen, both because it's crazy, but also because even Barr, who spoke this morning, had this to say.
I see no basis now for seizing machines by the federal government. A wholesale seizure of machines by the federal government. And off the top of my head, I'm not going to opine on a constitutional issue as far as the pardon power goes.
Okay, so you had a little bonus there was thrown in where he was asked if Trump could pardon himself, and he didn't want to opine on that because, again, he wants to leave the Trump administration with enough plausible deniability about him checking the worst excesses of Trump that he'll be able to go on the media and stuff like that. And already the response to that video I just played you is look at how reasonable he's being. But he also believes that Trump should be able to pardon himself, and he was one of the main goons helping Trump to accomplish all of his goals. So it looks like at least at this point, the DOJ isn't gonna be seizing the voting machines. But remember, Barr is about to be booted out, and his replacement is already about to be pre-booted out to be replaced by someone even more toady-ish than him. And so you might end up with someone as the head of the DOJ who would be willing to seize the machines, just not today.
Oh, William Barr. Yeah, I love how you can hear him dredge up the only moral fiber he has in his body to say that, I don't see a reason to declare martial law. That was that's all he got. Now he's out. Now he's gonna go lobby for a weapons manufacturer or be their attorney or whatever he's going to do, represent a bunch of war criminals in the future. It's a really bright future for Bill Barr. But yeah, it's always unclear because we're I don't think it's gonna happen, but it might happen, but it might not happen, but it might happen. And all it takes is Powell and Stephen Miller and Giuliani to be let's do it. And then they're just gonna flip over the couches in the Oval Office and sit behind them. And then,
like a fort?
Like a blanket fort. And then Kamala's gonna have to be guys, or it's just someone. Or maybe just the staff of the White House can be see, because we gotta, checkout was by 10, and we gotta, because of COVID, we have to really sterilize this place. And they're oh, okay.
I say they're planning to bleach the whole thing. Just don't even warn them. Just let them be in there for it. Anyway, okay, so let's turn now to Sidney Powell. Hey, you remember Sidney Powell? You remember stories like this not long ago? Trump campaign legal team distanced itself from Sidney Powell. That was her next to Giuliani, which was 2 days before that. But they wanted to make sure that as of, let's see, that's late November, that they were distancing themselves. She was too crazy for Rudy Giuliani. And Jenna Ellis put out a statement saying Sidney Powell is practicing law on her own. She's not a member of the Trump legal team. She's also not a lawyer for the president in his personal capacity, which, look, admittedly was confusing at the time because she was just a couple days off of attending a Trump press conference about the legal effort while pursuing multiple challenges to the election. So the idea, and Trump was retweeting her and she was being on Fox News. The idea that she was independent then was a little bit weird, but don't worry, they distanced themselves. And now Trump, as of just 3 days ago, is discussing naming her, who as a lawyer for his campaign team unleashed conspiracy theories about a Kraken and a Venezuelan plot to rig voting machines in the US, to be a special counsel overseeing an investigation of voter fraud, according to 2 different sources who are briefed on the discussion. So the distance is a little bit less distancy. Now she might be a special counsel, not like a real special counsel, but someone that he just calls the special counsel and says that because of her security clearance, she can get secret information. The whole thing's a gigantic mess.
There's a badge. Okay, there's a badge. They're having them made right now. Or maybe they're just cutting one out of an Amazon box that came, but there's gonna be a badge. It'll say special on it. Maybe there'll be a hat that just says special on it. That's what I hope. And then everyone will know Sidney coming, So
anyway, what's kind of funny about this is apparently Of all of the crazies in this big meeting over the weekend, and there were a lot of crazies, she was like the most divisive one, and a lot of the White House people were really opposed to her. Supposedly her ideas, like seizing the machines and all of that, were shot down by every other Trump advisor present, all of whom repeatedly pointed out that she had yet to back up her claims with proof. At one point, one person briefed on the meeting said she produced several affidavits, but upon inspection, they were all signed by a man she had previously used as an expert witness, whose credentials have been called into question, but that's not gonna stop her. I love that they were willing to say she hadn't proved any of this stuff in front of Trump. That's at least a little bit risky. But they really do believe at this point that all you need to do is get enough self-interested, biased people to sign affidavits. And if you get a pile of that you win any court case. Like if you just get enough crazy MAGA heads to sign pieces of paper, then you're good. Even if it turns out that they had legal troubles, they were child molesters, they were whatever they were, it's useful in the moment. But
what's scary about this whole thing, I was just gonna say, just really quickly, like what's been scary from the beginning, and I think even the Supreme Court throughout this entire administration, it's always been like, oh no, we're down to like sign off on a ban on Muslim majority countries, and we're down to lock children in cages. We're down for you to try and allege voter fraud, but like do it better. Like fool us better, and we'll go along with that. But like, don't have the same guy sign the same affidavit, Sidney. Yeah. Find different people, and find people months ago who then, can plant something. Find some voting ballots in a ditch, but like, be actually a good villain. Don't be a crap villain. You're being a crap villain, but if you're a good villain, hey, the Republicans, I mean, they're already willing to go along with you, but they will help you literally steal it.
Okay, so as of right now, how likely do you think martial law, her becoming a special counsel, the voting machines being seized, those three possibilities coming out of this, how likely do you think any of them are?
I don't think they're gonna seize voting machines. Maybe they'll get one, but I would say there's a 35% chance that will happen. I don't think it's small.
The machines?
That there will be martial law, that he will try to declare martial law and not leave. But again, they're gonna have to pull something out quick because they need at least like I don't like this term, but like a false flag. Like they need something fake to go off of. But they don't have that yet. Everything's turned up empty-handed. But I still think there's a chance he's gonna try. I think there's a chance he'll try.
Well, we've got January 6th. So we've got the Georgia primaries. That's an event. We've got the official congressional like final certification of the results, which
the filibuster
they're going to have. Yeah, exactly. They're going to have their filibuster, so that's an opportunity. And we have people, on the ground trying to instigate stuff. Like literally, as we were prepping to go today with the show, I see this report about 300 like far right Proud Boys and Boogaloos and all that stuff trying to like storm the Oregon state legislature or something like that because of a secret session of something or other. I don't know. So that's going to end well. Whatever comes after that's going to be great. And God only knows. I'm not following Twitter right now. God only knows what is going on right now to try to justify all the insane stuff that they still want to do. And like we've said 100 times between the election and now, it's almost certainly not going to work, but it still could. And it's incredibly dangerous, and so we need to take it seriously. We can't just, laugh it away.
And hold the people accountable who continue to spout these lies. I mean, yeah, people's lives have been endangered. Random dude in Texas performs a citizen's arrest of an air conditioner repairman because he thought he saw fake ballots being loaded into the back of the truck. No, it's an air conditioner, homie, but that's cool. Please. Frighten the hell out of a random citizen. Wow. The police searched his home. Like this is the level of insanity. This is the level. This is where we're at. And I mean, the whole thing. I can't just pick 5 garbage people later on, John. It's going to be very difficult.
Yes.
Very hard.
Yeah, and I will just say, based on your comment, if there's any country that should not have citizens arrest, it's America for many reasons that probably don't need to be stated. No, we cannot be trusted on that. I don't trust the cops either, but I don't trust us. I don't trust anyone, basically. Yeah, like a wise man once said, I trust 2 people. One's me and the other's not you. And the other's also not Sidney Powell or any of these other people. Now that said, let's turn away from the martial law, which is fun. And we're gonna read a few of your comments. When we come back, we're gonna talk about the current state of the stimulus aid package negotiations, which apparently are finalized. We're gonna see about that. Let's see, let's jump into our super chats. The first coming from Zane, who says, loved the Bitchuation room and Brett Productions' silliness yesterday. That's awesome. Big fan of the Bitchuation room.
Thank you.
Who was on the Bitchuation room yesterday?
Oh, we had a comedian named Anna Valenzuela and a journalist, Shane Bauer, who's done a bunch of reporting in Syria. It was good. It was
awesome.
Ooh, it was spicy. Yeah, so definitely listen to the Bitchuation pod wherever you get your podcasts. Okay.
Nice. Wayne Sugihara says, let's name a sewage plant for Trump. They did it for John Oliver. I nominate Richmond, California for the honor.
Ooh.
Exactly. John Oliver made a joke out of it because John Oliver can joke about himself. Trump doesn't have that organ. He just can't do it. Let's see, April Dawn Quiet Dragon says, blessed Yule dragons, the sun has returned and Santa brought me a Dragon Squad tank top. Woohoo! Nice. Hopefully the weather will be good for that. But if you're interested in anything spanning from tank tops all the way to hoodies, we've got Dragon Squad and Damage Report merch available at Shop TYT, including a Santa hat wearing dragon one, which is a lot of fun. Okay, Mama Bear Dragon said, got a call from a polling company yesterday. I've always wanted to be included in a poll. Can't wait for the Georgia election to be over though. Exactly. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually been involved in one. Francesca, have you ever been polled?
No, I don't let them get to that part where they're telling me what they're calling me about. I'm just like, no. But it's always like, we want to ask you your thoughts on, opinions and like stuff. And I'm like, that sounds real fishy. But so this is the thing you have to remember about polling is like, you gotta have very little going on to even be, answering the phone.
Yeah, that's true.
Listening for more than 20 seconds, responding. We're getting to the end of the poll.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, my phone, by the way, is just a device for checking the internet and getting spam text messages. Is this a thing that is everybody just getting like 30 spam text messages a day and blocking every number and it doesn't matter, they keep coming? It's really annoying. Anyway, Liliara.
What is your number, John?
Yeah, say it on the show. I already get enough spam, I don't need more. Claiming a sorry dragon, John, beautiful rant about Tucker on pre-show. Fran, when are you gonna be back on TMR? Love seeing you in more spaces online.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully I didn't burn the bridge the one time that I was on.
Nice. I've never actually been on, so you've been honored. Let's see, Mark Bugg says, son was born today. Sorry. Why are you sorry? Oh, says TDR is now second favorite. Wait, like to your son? That's okay, you don't have to apologize if my show is second to your heir. Anyway. Hi, Franny. Saw TBR yesterday. Great show. Thank you both for keeping us sane. Thank you, Mark Bugs. You. Anyway, I love you guys. Says hi, John. Iron Dragon reporting in. I am on my way to get a lumbar puncture to see if I have an infection in my brain. I'm pretty nervous. Listening to you and Francesca is comforting. Thanks for being here. Best of luck to you. Hope that it's as easy of an experience as possible, and that you don't have the infection. Really, everybody deserves good health news.
Yeah.
Right about now.
Listen to some good music and deep breaths. That sounds rough.
There you go.
Thinking of you.
Over on Twitch, thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi, for gifting subs. Appreciate that. Also, a Ferris wheel and Depressed Progressive gifted 10 as well. Thank you so much for that. Very nice of you. Actually, let me check that. And then gave 10 more. Depressed Progressive 2 times over. Thank you for that. Very much appreciate that. The Kurd Burglar says, I know John's thinking about Vernon Dursley calling Dumbledore a crackpot old fool. I assume about Sidney Powell. I wasn't, but it fits. I do like it. Let's see. Oh, also, let me remind you that as of today, you have an opportunity to watch the 3rd episode of our new limited Twitch series, Deep Dive with Jordan Ewell. I was a guest last week on it. You've got another episode coming up that is available on Twitch after our show, so definitely stay tuned for that. Should have a lot of fun with Jordan. And with that, why don't we jump back into some of this news, Franny? We re-enter the new week apparently with an aid package that supposedly is actually going to be passed. That's what everybody seems to think anyway. Democratic and Republican leaders announced just yesterday that they've arrived at an agreement on a roughly $900 billion plan. The House of Representatives will vote on the bill today, according to House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer. The legislation includes much needed coronavirus relief, including a weekly $300 enhancement in unemployment insurance, a new round of $600 stimulus checks, and renewed support for small businesses. What it doesn't have is things like state and local aid, which is described here by Vox as contentious, which I guess is technically true, but only because Republicans hate it. That's weird how something can be contentious if one group is completely unreasonable. But anyway, as well as liability protections for businesses, those have been taken away. And the effort to sort of lock the Fed into not assisting later on this year under Biden also has been punted, at least for now. So, Francesca, we've got a bill after all the back and forths across multiple months and countless tens of thousands of people dying. What do you think of it?
I need a Vox explainer video for this. Where are my explainer videos? I used to do them all the time, and now I'm like, I miss the younger me that would just do explainer videos about this. But it's like, it's hard to know. It's like having a bowl of very mediocre soup that has a pube in it. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm gonna eat this soup, but I know there's a few pubes swimming around here, but I'm really hungry. No, because you're hungry, but there's a little bit of a, like a doo-doo nugget hidden somewhere away in this stimulus.
The soup is getting worse.
I'm just saying, like, this is what it is. It's like you have to eat it. People are hungry. We need more direct payments. We need extended unemployment benefits. But what's in it? What's in it that's bad for everybody? It seems like they might have been able to prevent some of the worst things, like if they didn't include the provisions for immunity for corporations and limited liability for any corporations. That's amazing because, as we know, corporations have been sending their employees back to work with COVID. They have been putting them at risk, right? And I think there's gonna be a new day in terms of labor protections and all this, and also the fight for things like paid sick leave and really expanding workers' rights. I mean, we can't spend this long talking about how essential they are and not really have this moment give birth to a new and much deserved labor movement, which I hope it does. So there's that. I mean, there's something good that it wasn't the worst. Obviously $600 direct payment and an extended $300 in unemployment is not enough. I know there's an extension in a moratorium on evictions, which is good. I know that there's also money for education in there, which is good. None of it is all that radical, and by radical I mean transformative or helpful, but it's something.
Yeah, radical in this context means what it almost always does, which is the bare minimum to meet the challenge. And also impossible at the same time. It's the only thing that would actually meet the challenge. And you're crazy pants for talking about it. Yeah. By the way, coming out of this, if I ever am lucky enough to be invited to dinner at your house, going to avoid the soup course because you make too many compromises on your soup. I'm worried, like, what could drop in the soup for you to remake it? I don't know at this point. But anyway, what is dropped into the soup of this stimulus package is those aid checks of $600, those will be going to people who make less than $75,000 a year. The unemployment aid is gonna go through until March 14th. $325 billion has been repurposed from the PPP for small businesses. So again, remember that when they throw out these dollar values, this is not all new money. So it's smaller even than it seems. And bear in mind that this small business aid, which apparently they've been sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars, is going to finally be repurposed and hopefully given out after 100,000 small businesses have already closed. We've got $25 billion in rental assistance. Advocates for those who are about to be evicted say you need about $100 billion. So I guess we're 1/4 in a good spot. And the $600 checks, it exists simultaneously at a place where it is obviously not good enough. And also we only have it because thankfully we have some good progressives in office. You had people like Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna and AOC and other members of the squad who are actually there fighting for us, and thank God that they are. if the Progressive Caucus hadn't said they're not gonna vote for this, if it didn't include the survival checks and all that, we wouldn't even have the paltry, kind of offensive and insulting level of checks that we do.
That's really important to remember. I think that there's been a lot of pile on of the squad recently for other reasons, but the fact is that this has been the main issue for Congress. This has been the main issue for Democrats. Now, why the speaker is not a better leader, why she wrongly said that and held out on a better package offered by Steve Mnuchin before the election and held out, that we still don't know. That there's still not a good answer for, right? But absolutely, a week ago when we were looking at no stimulus, direct stimulus checks, or no direct payments, and now you've got $600. I gotta be honest with you, John, I'm glad there's direct payments. I'm still not happy that Donald Trump's name is gonna be on them. That feels incredibly scary to me still, because we know that it gave him a boost in the election, and it means a lot when you see someone's name on there,
Yeah.
Every time I see my grandma's name on the $20, check, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't cash this, but I will, But you see the little handwriting, still trying to eke out a little signature.
Yeah.
But no, so anyway, there's part of me that's like, why would we even give this to him right now?
Yeah, and I'm sure that they want to get it out, and they're saying it's coming soon. They're going to try to get it out before the election. I think that that's going to be very difficult, but it's obviously that the election is on their mind in wanting to do this. But look, what I want is our elected representatives to be responsive to what people actually want. If the only time that can happen is in the week before an election, I guess that's one percentage point of the way there. And his name being on the checks would be ridiculous, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, overall, I will say frustrated about the level of the checks, and you pointed out Nancy Pelosi. Let's bear in mind that we could have had a significantly larger package, supposedly in the run up to the general election, but she didn't think that we should do that then. She was sort of holding out either to damage the Republicans during the election or because she actually believed that they could get something bigger afterward. But either way, she was wrong, and now we're getting something much smaller, which is why hearing her talk about the bill that they're gonna pass sort of really bothers me. So here's a little bit of her talking about the agreement that they've come to.
We also have in the legislation direct payments, which were not in the Republican bill, to America's working families. I would like them been bigger, but they are significant, and they will be going out soon.
Okay, so the thing is, when she is there saying, I would have liked them to be bigger, first of all, you could have had them be bigger. So that's important context. But also, in terms of her saying they're significant, okay, I will accept the evaluation of how significant they are from people for whom they will be a significant boost to their standard of living, their ability to survive. But Nancy Pelosi, who I just looked it up and is worth somewhere around $114 million, they're not significant for her. They don't matter to her, and that's true for a lot of our elected representatives, but she is in charge, so just bear that in mind.
Look, I'm not saying that $600 doesn't mean something to people, but also you gotta be that disconnected from the cost of living when you think that $600 is going to mean a lot to many people. It'll mean something to some people, but it won't mean a lot to most people, okay? When is the last time she's bought lunch by herself? That. She's so disconnected from reality, and $114 million is so awful. And where is the justification scientifically in any of this? We are worse off than we were when we got a $1,200 direct payment, right? Now it's 10 months later, going to be a year later, we're worse off. The spikes are insane. Worse than they've ever, 3,000 deaths a day. So it's hard to know, there's so much coming at us, and it's hard to know what's next. I'm excited for the next fight ahead. But man, we have to do a big old U-turn in this country when it comes to where we put our money. Otherwise, you bet there's gonna be revolution, you bet. And I'm not an accelerationist. I don't believe that that's good. I don't believe that people taking taking drastic measures is a good thing. And I definitely don't think that like, hey, if we elect right wingers and they do less, then people will, take to the streets and do more. We haven't really seen that much of it this year, other than the rightfully justified protests against how many centuries of racism and police brutality. But so I'm not an accelerationist, but I'm like, man, these Democrats are really, really testing the patience of their voters, Yeah. And I know the election wasn't close, but they might not they've lost House seats and they might not take the Senate. So I hope they're still running scared, is what I'm saying. And I think we need to make sure they are.
And they could lose the House in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Especially with Nancy Pelosi as their leader.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. Anyway, just to put it in a little bit more context, this $900 piece of legislation, which again isn't really $900 billion since it includes hundreds of billions of dollars that had already been passed, but anyway, is less than the $2.2 trillion proposal House Democrats had put forth quite a while ago. It's much less than the $1.8 trillion proposal that hypothetically Nancy Pelosi could have had but turned down, but much higher than the $550 billion bill that Senate Republicans had favored, which didn't include checks or unemployment insurance. It was literally just money being given to corporations, which you have to give them at least a little bit of credit, a little bit of props. They usually will do all this stuff to get tax cuts for businesses passed. This is much more direct. Just give them the money directly all the time. So that's what they wanted. What the people want is quite different. Most recent polling on this shows that 93% of Democrats, 83% of Republicans, and 87% of likely independent and third-party voters would support the distribution of another one-time payment of $1,200 to most Americans. Only 9% of likely voters are opposed to $1,200 direct payments. Almost everyone in the country supports this. And so of course, we got just half of it.
I mean, yeah, I will. I just want to say one other thing. Like, first of course we support $1,200 direct payments. We should support a lot more than that. But I want an audit. I want an audit of those PPP loans. We know they went to Trump cronies. We know they went to people that Jared Kushner rents out apartments, has sold apartments to, who are job creators, who on the record like have saved one job, which was probably their own, right? And so it's like, well, I am a homemaker, okay? I'm an interior designer, whatever, that's fine. You can be a homemaker, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that like there needs to be a very thorough audit and some accountability for that $2 trillion, which effectively absolutely went to the top 1%.
Yeah,
I wanna see that, I wanna see receipts.
Yeah, and in a way, like effectively it's about as big as the tax cuts. And we know that was obviously biased. This is obviously more biased and far more direct. They got it so quickly. Like there's a lot that we got to be forward looking on when Biden takes over, but there's a lot that deserves quite a bit of scrutiny.
Sure.
And not just stuff that's directly about Trump's criminal acts. That's certainly a part of it, but the Republican-led Senate got away with quite a bit as well. Anyway, let's read a few comments before we move on to other news. We've got some great developments when it comes to COVID. That's really fun. Anyway, really fast. I did want to say hello to a few of our most recent YouTube members, including Jazzer, Penny, Jeff Brandenburg at tier 2, Bruce Carnevale at tier 2, Cynthia and Anonymous, as well as Nebula Dragon and Danger Dave at tier 3. Thank you to all of you who become members of our new YouTube membership program on the Damage Report. Appreciate that. Information about is available at the join button on that page. Now, in terms of super chats, let's see. Anxious Dragon says, first time I get to watch live because of winter break. I work remotely for a school and this has been the hardest year. I found out Friday my mom tested positive. I can't see her and live alone. Thank you, J&F. Anxious Dragon, you've got good reason to be anxious. Hopefully your mom will be okay.
Yes.
Very sad. Samuel Smith says, thank you for getting us through this year. Monday is my favorite day of the week with you and Francesca making up the ultimate dragon tag team, claiming Aussie Dragon. Thank you, Samuel Smith, I appreciate that. Yarmul says, hi John, I would like to claim Peaceful White Dragon. That's a nice one. Definitely coming from a live there. Peaceful White Dragon. Anyway, thank you. Stone Eagle Dragon says, let's reach 9,000 likes and John will show us the undies. Sorry, John, Northwestern Norway remembers. No. I don't care what Francesca does. Her movement is not gonna lead to that.
Oh, were we transferring that to you? now that
No.
Trump is gone? John has to hashtag show us.
Can we see Biden's undies? What's going on with him? Definitely tidy whities. There, I would bet.
Oh my
every
God.
cent I have.
So many tidy whities.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
but, like-
tight, so white.
I feel like he buys a fresh pack of jockey every week just to be like, the elastic starts to stretch out.
Isn't that's a weird level of luxury? Just something like that doesn't actually cost. Imagine if you just never re-wore underwear. You wear it once, gone. That's it. You just throw it away. I'd like to do it with socks, actually. I hate worn out socks. Anyway, let's see. This got weird. Anthony Patrick is responding to your soup metaphor by saying, "Come on, John, it's LA. No one has pubes." That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Why is that the stereotype? Anyway, Fury Dragon says, "Love your show, John and Franny. Would you please shout out to my partner and best friend, Mariposa, and bestow the title Mariposa Dragon upon her? She has become a recent fan of your show." Mariposa Dragon, welcome. It's an interesting combination. I can almost picture it.
Butterfly dragon. That's gorgeous.
Exactly. It's awesome. Over on Twitch, thank you to those who have resubscribed, including It's Gus, Josho for 3 months, Steph Mont for 7 months. Thank you. That takes us almost back to the beginning of TYT on Twitch. Egypt for 5 months and says, "Thanks for helping to keep me at my socially acceptable level of crazy." Glad to help. And Jengu, who resubscribed for 2 months and then used the newest emoji of me, making him or her my enemy. But thank you for resubscribing.
No.
And let's see. Wow, there's some disgusting comments on Twitch today. Jeez. Telly Panda says this soup is danger soup. There's something about Bill Barr I'm not reading. You can put it in the document. I'm not reading it. Anyway. Okay. And Leftist Pagan says on Twitch, "Who the hell thinks $600 is significant? That's not even half my rent. JFC, $600 will mean that I can eat and renew my car registration next month so I can still drive myself to work." Yeah, it'll help. It'll help, but I mean, really rough for the. Oh, I see Eddie O'Donnell's about to be discharged. Very good news over in the Twitch chat. I'm glad I have it up live. Yeah, it's good news, I guess. But man, it's imagine the worst domestic crisis ever. We're gonna lose hundreds of thousands of people. We are way into the thick of the really bad predictions from day one. Everybody seems to forget that. But yeah, 3,000, 3,400 people a day. They're gonna give us a $1,200 check. And then if everybody waits like a year, you'll get 600. And that's the best, the wealthiest, strongest, best #1 nation in the history of the world can actually do.
No, they've let us die. I mean, this is the hard reality is any government that has allowed this many people to die in a pandemic, what does it say about how they care about their people? What does it say about the country? What does it say about how much power the people have? And that doesn't mean we get, cynical and resigned, but it means we get angry and we get active. And I think that they have to remember who they work for. We need better legislators on throughout the board, whether it's, your city council, whether it's state representatives. So whether it's our governors, who are, banding about going to French Laundry and pretending like they're our daddy, i.e. Cuomo. Meanwhile, Cuomo stands against Medicare for all in New York State. So there's a lot we have to do, and it's hard because we have the moral, we're in the moral right, obviously. And so it's hard to say, well, we're in the moral right. Why can't these politicians get on board with what the majority wants? And they won't because that's not their interest. And we need to get them the hell out.
Yeah, we need more power, more actual power. And simply we often remind people that the voters agree with us on the policies, which is great. It would be greater in a democracy, a true democracy where that actually mattered. But that doesn't directly matter, which means we need the seats. We need to keep the ones that we have that are good, and we need more of them. That's what we need. Right now, we're all experiencing this oh yeah, we lost, and that's really sinking in, but we did, and we need to stop losing.
Yeah.
The solution to losing is winning. That's what we need. Anyway, over on Twitch, thank you to Progressive NCO for gifting subs. I believe Progressive NCO is my new enemy. If I remember, it looks like there was a name change there. Don't try to change your name. I remember you. You're my enemy. Okay. Anyway, let's move on to unfortunate news. Over in the UK, they've apparently had to institute a new lockdown in parts of the country. Why? Because COVID wasn't bad enough. We're now experiencing the possible spread of a new, more transmissible, more contagious version of COVID. So British Prime Minister Boris Johnson just this weekend implemented strict lockdowns in London and large parts of southern England in response to rising coronavirus infections. He said the growth in cases appear to be stemming from a new variant of the coronavirus that is about 70% more transmissible than existing strains. And just bear in mind, if you just woke up from a long rest, the thing about COVID is how transmissible it is. It's really easy to get it from somebody that has it. This is that, but worse. And so these new measures, which take effect on Sunday, so just yesterday, are designed in effect to cut off the capital and its surrounding counties from the rest of England. They're the most severe measures the British government has taken since it imposed a lockdown in the country way back in March, and reflect a fear that the new variant could supercharge the transmission of the virus as winter takes hold. Now, viral mutations in general are not uncommon, and we've been talking about the possibility from the very beginning of the pandemic. This variant has apparently been detected in a handful of other countries, although the British officials didn't say which, meaning possibly the US. But the government's medical experts expressed alarm about the apparent infectiousness, noting that it now accounts for more than 60% of the new infections reported in London. So this is what we need to close out the year. I mean, we just got that good news about the vaccine. So sure, why not a far worse, like COVID with rabies form of the disease, Francesca?
Give me rabies, dude. I just want, give me the rabes. I'll take it. I need rabies now. I think you can get over rabies more easily than you can get over COVID. I don't know that. Do not fact. Don't Wikipedia it. Woody.
Rabies is still bad. Rabies is still bad. But
look, they both come from bats. I say, let's get rid of the bats. Go to war on bats. And then we could put little helmets on the bats too, so they have a fighting chance. It'll be real cute. I don't know what to do with this news, John. This is depressing.
I don't know. I know. I think so. When I approach a development like, what do you got to say?
Nothing. I just wanted to mess with you.
So when I see a development like this, I think, okay, what is it most important that the audience knows about this? Because we can't track everything about these developments. So for me, in terms of the context, it is we've got the vaccine that is just now being transported around, and it's giving people hope. Perhaps too much hope. People seem to be being really irresponsible, and I try to remind them that you're not gonna get the vaccine for like 2 to 6 months. So definitely slow your roll on not wearing your mask and everything, but it is coming out. And so now, a more infectious version of this. So I think a lot of people might think, oh God, now this good news isn't worth anything. But I wanna just let you know that supposedly, according to, and take this with a grain of salt, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, board member of Pfizer, says it doesn't seem to have mutated the surface proteins of the virus in a way that they would slip past our vaccines or prior immunity. In fact, we don't think that that's the case. So they're saying that if you already have been exposed, to whatever extent you get immunity, that should apply to the new version, and that the vaccine should protect against the new version. That said, this doctor is a board member of Pfizer. So will we know immediately? I don't know. We're gonna have to see if people who have gotten the vaccine get this newer strain at higher rates than they get regular COVID. Because again, remember, people who get the vaccine still can get COVID. It has a failure rate. So that is, I think, the most important chunk of news that everybody should get as we face this new, faster spreading version of COVID.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's good news, I guess, a little bit. I don't know if I trust any of it. We know the flu shot every year has to be retooled and reworked. I can't stress this enough, but like, we don't know, and we are in completely uncharted territory. What we do know is that we can personally stop the spread, and our government can also do that as well. We know we can test, we know we can trace, we know we can quarantine. Have I said this on the show before? Oh my God. We also know that we can stop travel from the UK. We, not just of UK
I've been
nationals.
For years.
Honestly, like, so have Native Americans for many years. But like, we can stop travel, and not just of UK nationals or whatever. That's like the xenophobic move that Trump did for China. Like, oh yeah, we'll stop all the Chinese nationals. Smart, you idiot. So the point is, we still don't have the travel bans that we might need. And I hate the idea of not being able to get on a flight with 10 layers of face masks and protection and not have to go to the bathroom for 6 hours and then fear for my life once I've arrived at Big Ben. But maybe that's what's necessary. And yet we haven't done that, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to say that we should really, there is a new normal. Let us all, remember there is a new normal, and also lobby our government to really do the right thing and be prepared to comply when they do. None of this I don't know if I like, my phone tracking me. Your phone tracks you all the time. Your phone tracks you all of the time, okay? Don't have a cell phone if you don't want to be tracked. Yeah, we need to do better. Yeah, we should rein in companies for sure. But your phone's already tracking you. Why not sign up for the COVID tracking as well? I think it's important.
Yeah, especially because the government itself doesn't seem interested in doing that at all. Literally, when was the last time you heard the government talk about doing any sort of tracking? And I guess I sort of almost understand it. It's hard to really see contact tracing to be useful in an environment where everybody has COVID and everybody's getting it from everybody. As you get the cases down lower, then contact tracing becomes more important, but they haven't stopped. If you pursue that or you pursue herd immunity as a strategy, which is the one that they're doing. So, okay. That said, let's turn to a slightly different but altogether unsurprising bit of news on COVID. So for about 1 week now, the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19 has been available, not widely available, not available for me or for Francesca or probably for you, but more and more frontline healthcare workers are starting to get access to it. Some of the people most at risk, like the oldest population with pre-existing conditions, will soon have access to it. And that is really annoying to rich people who would love to have access to it right now. And they are apparently doing everything they can, which means spending money to try to get access to it. So there was a great article up on Yahoo News talking about some of the experiences of these doctors to the stars and doctors to wealthy people talking about it. Dr. Ehsan Ali, who runs Beverly Hills Concierge Doctor, gets hundreds of calls every single day, Ehsan said. His clients, who include Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber, pay between $2,000 and $10,000 a year for personalized care. Quote, this is the first time where I have not been able to get something for my patients. So supposedly for this doctor, they're trying to get it, but they can't. Okay, and that's mostly because in California, there's a very strict order of vaccinations. Healthcare workers and nursing home residents, because those are the people getting sick and dying. Then essential workers and those with chronic health conditions, and only then pop stars, ideally. Dr. Jeff Toll, who has admitting privileges at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, one of the first hospitals to stock the vaccine, recalls a patient asking, if I donate $25,000 to Cedars, would that help me get in line? Toll said no. So here's the thing, this is happening. We sort of knew this would happen. The only thing about this article I have an issue with is the takeaway that the requests are not working, because I have a very hard time believing that that is true. I have a very hard time believing that Elon Musk gets on the phone and it ends with him not getting the vaccine. Maybe I'm a cynic, Francesca. What do you think?
No, I mean, that is how it ends. I mean, that is how initially this whole thing went off, when people who were getting, who had the money to pay for N95s, on eBay, going for $200 a pop or whatever it was, or Lysol spray is going for that much. I mean, the markups have been insane. People who can, yes, they can pay to stay home. This is not Madonna's bubble bath, we are all equal moment. This is absolutely, the black light into the crevices of our country, which reveal that we are highly unequal, and Bernie Sanders has been right this entire time. But I hate this story. We covered it on the Bitchuation room. I hate this story because I didn't really know that concierge boutique doctors were a thing, or and these liaisons, and that there's an entire market. Because let's not forget, the privatized medical system in this country is such that there are so many bottom feeders. There are so many leeches off of this system. Some of them are good leeches, unnecessary, meaning there are people who help folks get onto Medicaid and Medicare because they're so complicated, they're difficult. That is a job creator, that's a good one. But I would argue it's not a necessary job if your systems are so complicated, right? It shouldn't be a necessary job in an equal society for someone to pay to get access to the best healthcare, right? That's what they say. Oh, the best healthcare in the world here. Yeah, if you're a millionaire, if you're Justin Bieber, who's Canadian, go home, go home. You've got universal healthcare there. So listen, to everyone out there, just learn to sing good, okay? Just learn to sing good. Just drink warm things, and my voice
honey.
is very, just lots of honey. And then maybe you'll get healthcare one day and you'll get access to these things. So it is exposing how corrupt and how awful our entire privatized healthcare system is. And once again, audits. I wanna know who's doing concerts, who's out there, did they get the vaccine? Canceled, hashtag canceled.
Yeah, I almost wish, obviously this is could never happen. But if there was an online registry updated in real time of all the people's names who get it. Because I wanna see when all these celebrities get it. That are gonna be labeled as essential and all of that, because it's gonna happen. And obviously the rich are gonna do it. I mean, oh God. One of the things that's been bothering me is, people in government have been getting vaccinated recently. And so some of it's good, like AOC and the vaccine, good. I don't want her to get coronavirus. I like to see that. But I think for a lot of people, after the experience we've been through, and for our audience that we've gone through every day together, every update along the way, because we have been keeping laser focused on this whole thing, to see Mitch McConnell get the vaccine, or Marco Rubio, or Mike Pence, Scott Atlas is gonna get the vaccine before any of us. After all that they did and didn't do that produced this ever-growing mountain of dead Americans, that they would get access to it before us, before our grandparents. It is so thoroughly, fundamentally, essentially insulting. And it was always gonna be this way, and I get it. They're politicians, so they're gonna get it because they're essential or whatever. And Tucker Carlson's gonna get it tomorrow if he hasn't already, because he's in the media. But for all that they did, the idea that they would get protected first just seems so wrong on a level that it just creeps into your bone marrow.
Absolutely, makes you want to puke. I mean, it's the most 2020 thing ever, right? Spend months, Marco Rubio saying, oh, we focus on COVID too much. Yeah, no, that's the problem, is the media is just focusing on it too much, right? They get right to that edge of saying that it doesn't exist, but by basically saying it's not a big deal. Meanwhile, they're cashing in on PPP loans. Meanwhile, they're holding out on allowing people to stay home. We should have been paying people to stay home this entire time, like every other country in this world. Anyone who can afford it is doing that. So absolutely, there is a special place in hell. My God, there's a special place in hell for these people. And I hope they get there. But looks like that's gonna be harder if they have the vaccine now. And I guess I'm just saying rage. I think we need to call our senators, let them know it's not okay. Let them know that you see their little pale ass arms.
Yeah, look, I'm as hardcore an atheist as possible, but I'm down to believe in a lot of afterlives if it provides some consequences. But it hasn't, and they'll be fine. And the politicians, almost every one of the politicians that stood like a shield wall between us and the aid that we need, virtually every one of them got reelected. The people in media who encouraged their fans to get sick and die, and get their loved ones sick and to die, are doing better. Tucker Carlson is gonna get a massive raise. He's being put in charge of news across Fox News. Every one of the worst people who had the worst effect during the worst domestic political crisis of our lifetime is doing better coming out of it. The wealthy are making out like bandits, literally. And there's a lot less of us to change the system because of their actions. The entire thing. This has been some year, Jesus. I do hope that the wealthy get the vaccine though. They've worked hard for it, why shouldn't they? Anyway, okay, so with that, it looks like we're just about at the end of our time, but I do want to remind everyone that we are now starting a new feature on Mondays. Francesca and I are going to be doing top 10 lists, sometimes about politics, sometimes not. They're going to be available to our tier 2 and tier 3 YouTube members. If you're interested in that, totally optional thing, you can go to our YouTube channel and click the join button to get details about those tiers. Today, we're going to be closing out the year with our top 10 garbage people of 2020. Which is like an impossible task because this year has been so full of garbage. But I've got Trashy here, and Trashy is ready to get a supersized meal of 10 of the worst people and groups currently operating across America. Oh, we've got a raid going on. I'm seeing from Lucid Fox and Lucid Fox's viewers. Thank you very much for raiding us. Really do appreciate that. I love to see people making connections on Twitch. So thank you for that. We've been raided.
Are we gonna do this every week, John? Because you did not ask me if I wanted to do top 10 lists.
I didn't. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Thrust this upon me.
We're gonna do it one day, me and someone. So I apologize. I know that you're so down, and also I couldn't conceive of a more fun experience than doing it with you each week. So that's why I tried to put it out there into the universe. But obviously it's up to you. You don't have to do it.
Okay, well I say fine. I'd love to.
Well, we'll see. We can revisit it each week, and if you're not available,
no. Now I want it. Now that I know it exists, I want it. You know, I'm like a child.
No, people are suggesting I could do it on Thursdays with Viviana. I could do that instead if you want. I could do it with her. That'd be fun too. Actually, that might be more. Did that work? It probably didn't work. Anyway,
it worked.
Okay, I'm gonna stop before you pull out entirely from the thing. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to manifest more things in the universe, even though I don't believe in any of that. And I want to give you one piece of evidence that I have some sort of effect over causality in the universe. On SNL this Saturday, okay. Earlier in the pandemic, I had been hoping that my favorite sketch of all time would come back, and it's What's Up With That. It hadn't been on for literally years, and they did it during the pandemic. This Saturday, I was hoping that my favorite Weekend Update character, the most optimistic man in the world, Willie, would come back. Hasn't been on in years, and he was back on. I control things in a very limited SNL sort of area, okay? Anyway.
Who plays Willie again?
That's Keenan. He's in both the What's Up With That and Willie is both Keenan.
I love What's Up With That.
Oh God, so good. Anyway, Willie's just great, I love it. Someone's giving me a phrasing alert on Twitch. I don't know what I said, and now I regret it. But anyway, okay, so we're gonna break for now, and then that top 10 list will be available on YouTube later on. But I do wanna let you know that in 29 minutes, Jordan Ewell is gonna be diving deep with Deep Dive. I've taglined it, news that gets you wet. So definitely enjoy that.
Yikes.
Okay, that'll be coming up a little bit later on. I don't know who his guest is. Maybe Brooke can let us know in the chat. And oh geez, there's been a lot of phrasing going on. Anyway, that should be a lot of fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. It'll be starting up really soon. Should be a lot of fun. But anyway, we're gonna go for now. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.